Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a little like deep dive and kind of just like talk about the Bad Bunny performance, the Super Bowl performance, because I feel like a lot of people first of all didn't really understand it because it was in Spanish, and second of all, the performance was very like deep. It had a lot of like political and like a lot of references that I feel like a lot of people didn't catch. So I wanted to like talk about what I got from the performance and like the details that I noticed. So maybe like someone who didn't really understand it could, I don't know, understand it better, because it was honestly one of the best performances I've ever seen, and probably one of the best Super Bowl performances, like, period. So yeah. Okay, so the whole performance starts off with this like video. It wasn't like live of this guy with holding a guitar, and then he says, "Qué rico es ser Latino," which in English translates to how tasty or like delicious it is to be Latino, which I feel like is the perfect beginning, because the whole performance, the whole like Super Bowl performance was basically about showing his culture and appreciating and being like proud about the Latin community. So I feel like it was a perfect introduction. And of course, it pans to the field of, I believe it was sugarcane, the field of sugarcane, and then there's like all these workers working, these Latino workers working at the sugarcane field. And I think that was also a reference to the field workers and how unappreciated they are because they're field workers, and how much of the Latin community, goes into that field. But also, sorry, I have like 3 pages worth of notes in my iPad, so I might be like reading from here just so I don't like miss anything. But yeah, I was doing a little like research about Puerto Rico and stuff like that. Sugarcane was actually the backbone of Puerto Rico's economy before like the US basically colonized and took over. Once the US came and like took control, they modernized their industry and really just like made their whole economic industry different. So prior to the US, sugarcane was like the main source of income for Puerto Rico. And then of course we get the shot of, it was almost like a movie. What are they called? Like those opening title scenes in a movie, and it has Benito's full like government name, which is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. And I think that was very significant because he always goes by Bad Bunny, like that's his stage name. But him using his full like government name, I think is really showing that this performance is a celebration of Benito, like the person, his background, and also his story of growing up in Puerto Rico. Yeah, I really liked how he went through his whole performance as Benito instead of Bad Bunny. And then he opens the performance with with the song Ti Me Pregunto, which is one of his most popular songs. I feel like it doesn't really have any significance to like the message, but the whole like, I'll say like the whole half of the show is his like hits, and like it's very much like a party, like the type of performance that people would expect at a Super Bowl. Very like upbeat, very dance, and yeah. But during the first opening, he is walking through the sugarcane field. First of all, his whole stage is basically like like almost like a maze of sugarcane, and then there's also like homes. It's, I don't know, that stage was like crazy. It was very kind of like Broadway show to me. Like it felt almost like a Broadway show. And yeah, when he starts, he's going through like this maze, and we see all these like little small businesses, which are really all cultural like Latino businesses. If you've never been to like a Latin country, like my parents are from Mexico, so I go to their pueblo every now and then. And the whole, like all the stores and everything are basically family owned businesses. They don't really have any like big corporations like Target, like Target, Walmart, none of that. It's all basically small businesses. In that beginning scene, it literally feels like to me, it felt like I was back in Mexico, because that's literally what it feels like walking down the street of Mexico. There's like little stands for like, there's like taqueros, or people selling like cocos, and then they also have the stores you go inside with like carniceria and like little marquetas. Yeah, I think the way he just shows Latin culture was like, it couldn't have been better. Like it was literally perfect. It felt like I was back in Mexico. And fun fact, the all those businesses are real businesses. Like he had real businesses, Latin owned businesses, and their owners there. I believe the taquero was actually a taquero from Michoacan, but he's based off Los Angeles. Like his business is now in Los Angeles, but he is originally from Michoacan. And then of course he had the piraguas, which are like Puerto Rican snow cones. And something I noticed is that the bottles of like the syrups, the flavor syrups, they had flags. They had a Mexican flag, the Puerto Rican flag, and then Colombia flag, and I believe it was also the Spain flag. So yeah, there's like little like Easter eggs that he put into the performance. Like also another Easter egg was that what he was wearing, his apparel, it was like a football jersey, but he had like a suit over it. I really loved his apparel. It's like very, it looked very good on him, and also it was like something I've never seen before. But his jersey number was 64, and that was a reference to his uncle who was born in 1964, who died like two years ago, probably around that time. And he loved football, specifically the 49ers. And of course he was playing in Levi Stadium, which is the 49ers stadium. And he always wanted to take him to the Super Bowl, but he never got to. So I think him wearing that jersey with his number, he had him with him during the performance, which I think was very, like heartfelt. And of course he had his little like trap house, which was very like a Puerto Rican style house, filled with Latinos, like Latin celebrities. We had Karol G, we had Cardi B, we had Pedro Pascal, and we had like other influencers, actors I wasn't really familiar with, but um, yeah, I guess they were all like Latino based. And when he's on top of that house, during his song Party, he does say, Bienvenidos a la fiesta más grande del mundo entero, which translates to welcome to the biggest party in the whole world, which is really what the whole performance was advertised as. Like the videos that they were taking out, the advertisements for it was very much like the biggest party in the world, which was really like the perfect way to sum up the performance. It was a very big celebratory party celebrating culture and his background. And then of course we get that iconic scene where he falls through the roof of the house and he lands on a dinner table. I feel like that scene, that little clip was very, what is that called? In that household, it was very much a Latin household. I almost feel like I was in Mexico, because literally every like Mexican house, or really any Latin house, is kind of like built the same, and they have the same decorations. Specifically when I saw the Virgin Mary in the background, I was like, I swear, I think my aunt has the exact same Virgin Mary. Like I feel like if you've been to any like Latin house, I feel like you have seen that same Virgin Mary statue. It's the one with like the blue gown. Literally everyone has that in their house. I don't know why, but somehow everyone has that in Mexico. So yeah, he just had like a lot of these like little stuff that was very like culturally affirmative to the Latin community. Like I definitely felt seen throughout his performance, and it was like another level of like appreciation for culture that I've never really seen anywhere else in media. But then once he comes out of his house, we get a little mashup of Dale Don Dale and Gasolina, which of course are like one of the biggest Latin songs of all time, probably. Like even if you're not Latin, I'm pretty sure you know Gasolina. Like everyone knows that song. And during that little mashup, we have the dancers dancing and grinding on each other. And then the camera like pans to two Latin boys dancing with each other, which I've already had a feeling that he was gonna do something like that, because Bad Bunny has always been a very open advocate for like breaking down gender barriers and really supportive of like the LGBT community. I mean, he even like dressed in drag for one of his music videos. So I already kind of like knew that he was gonna do some type of like have something for the LGBT community. And I think that was very impactful because two Latin boys is like a big deal. In the Latino community, like machista is a very big thing, which is like toxic masculinity. The gender barriers for men are very strict about like what you do, like your actions. And one of those things is dancing with boys. Like you never seen two boys dancing. Like if you see two boys dancing in like a Mexican party or something, they're automatically like gay and like yeah, they're just very homophobic almost. I don't want to say homophobic, but like yeah, it's just a lot of toxic masculinity within the Latin community. So seeing that was very impactful because like girls are able to dance with each other, you know? Like if girls can grind on each other, why can't boys grind on each other? You know what I mean? Yeah, that was a very impactful thing. I've never really seen two Latin boys dancing with each other like that. And he also had like it wasn't just that one scene. There was like another few scenes where there were boys dancing with each other. And yeah, I just love how inclusive he is and how he really breaks down gender barriers. Like even like his Met Gala looks, Grammy looks. Like he was wearing a corset during his the last Grammys where he won Album of the Year. Like I just love how he doesn't go by rules anymore. Like he was always like that since he started, and having someone in the Latin community as big as him and doing stuff like that is very impactful. Not even just for the community, but even for like the whole world. Any boys out there watching, like yeah. And then we get that scene where I'm not sure exactly I forgot the name of the song, but it's the part with the violins. And if he didn't speak Spanish, he basically says that the only reason why he's on the biggest stage in the world right now, performing in like the Super Bowl, is because he never stopped believing in himself. And then he points at the camera and he says, "You should also believe in yourself. You're worth a lot more than you think." And yeah, that was of course, like that's just a perfect message for anyone watching, especially like kids, you know, like if a Latino kid girl sees that and then he says that he made it that big because he believed in himself when everyone else didn't. Of course that kid's gonna feel some type of empowerment and like maybe I could do something big like that. And yeah, honestly all the messages in his performance were really positive. I don't know what Donald Trump was on about, his little Coke rant about how his performance was very inappropriate for kids watching. Literally I don't think it was inappropriate at all. It was quite possibly the opposite. It was it was a very prideful and positive performance. Yeah, we have some type of dancing, but it's not even like that. It's not even like overly sexually dancing. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just losing his mind at this point, along with Nicki Minaj. Trump and Nicki literally just doing Coke rants on Twitter every now and then. They need to just shut the fuck up. And of course we get the wedding scene. For those who don't know, that couple actually got married. That was an actual like marriage going on. I believe the couple had originally like sent them their invitation for the wedding, and of course he kind of said that he couldn't go to the wedding, but he invited them to the Super Bowl to get married. And yeah, that's all how it happened. That's honestly very crazy. That's very thoughtful of him to do, honestly. And actually the priest who married the couple is actually from my hometown, like where I'm from. So that was very cool to see someone from where I'm from be on the Super Bowl in the Bad Bunny show. Like that was very, I don't know, it just felt really good to know that someone from my hometown was on that stage during that like impactful performance. And then we get Lady Gaga singing Die With a Smile salsa version. Yeah, I think it was like a salsa version. I feel like that had a lot of meaning behind it. I feel like I haven't seen anyone talking about that, but I honestly think he did that for a reason. I think it was a way of showing that like anyone can really appreciate or like properly appreciate a culture and celebrate that culture without being offensive or immature about it. Like, I think Lady Gaga perfectly, like, her rendition of it was very appropriate. She was wearing the cultural dress and everything. I think that was his way of saying that, like, we could all just unite and appreciate each other instead of tearing each other down by like our small differences. And I feel like he also goes back to, he kind of has a similar message during El Apagón, but I'll be talking about that later on in the video. But anyways, then we get Baile Inolvidable. That song is so like beautiful. It's honestly one of the best songs released of all time. Honestly, like the message behind that song. And of course we have like a huge dance floor with Lady Gaga and Bad Bunny dancing and everyone just having a good time. Like it felt like yeah, like it felt like we were in the wedding, you know, in the dance floor. But yeah, that song, for those who don't know, it translates to Unforgettable Dance. Baile Inolvidable translates to Unforgettable Dance. It's a really beautiful, like lyrically dissonant song. It sounds very like upbeat and happy, but the words is actually it's very much deep. It's really about like the pain and like the painful memories left after a lost love. It really explores that to the connection of dance to a partner. Like some of the lyrics he says is, I can't forget you, you showed me how to love, you showed me how to dance. Life is a party that will one day end, and you were my unforgettable dance. Yeah, if you guys haven't listened to his newest album, Te vi tirar más fotos, I feel like you guys should go listen to it and find some type of translation, because it is a very like deep, lyrically meaningful, beautiful album, and it definitely deserved album of the year. Like it was that I feel like that album really made me a Bad Bunny fan. Like I liked some of his songs prior to that album, but I never really gravitated towards a specific album. And that album was just very meaningful and very, especially during this time, it was very meaningful. And yeah, I definitely just became like a fan of his from that album. And I liked how that wedding party scene, it had so many like little small details that was like, oh, like this is definitely like a Latin celebration party. Because specifically that scene of the kid sleeping on the 3 chairs, if you've been to like any Latin party, there's always the kids sleeping on the chairs because the parents are like having a good time and they're just don't, it's like past their bedtime. And yeah, and I liked how he had the football, because I feel like if you're Latino, I'm pretty sure you've seen that. And they usually use like, the kids would usually use like sweaters as like the pillows, but I liked how he added the football instead for, you know, like the Super Bowl. And also just having the kids like playing in the dance floor, running around, or like dancing with the parents or the grandparents, like that is literally like my childhood. Like any party, I was always there just like running around, or sometimes even like dancing with my aunt or something. Like that's very much like the Latino party culture. I feel like that whole scene was very much culturally affirmative. It felt like it was done with intention to make us feel like part of that whole experience and the Latino culture. And I feel like they did a very good job with the whole performance being very culturally affirmative. And at the end of that scene, he says, dance without fear and love without fear, which, and you know, another great message, because I feel like dance and love are some music, dancing and love are like some of the best things about life, and fearing those things can be very detrimental to how you live your life. So I think that message was just perfect. And of course he falls off onto the crowd with Nueva York. I don't know if that's how you say it. Nueva York. Nueva York. Yeah, Nueva York, which is just another cultural celebration. Oh. Yo, a kid literally just slammed into the fucking wall in front of me. Anyways, this song is another cultural celebratory anthem, and it's dedicated to Latino, specifically Puerto Rican, immigration to New York City, and how the cultural impact of the Latino community has on New York, or New York City specifically. I really love this part of the performance because the whole set was built like a small community from New York City, And actually all the shops and stuff were also like real shops in New York City. And I love the small little details, like the girls doing the braids on the steps, which is like the Puerto Rican cultural braids. Honestly, this whole part just felt very like musical theatery to me. Specifically, it felt like In the Heights. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. Honestly, it's a very great musical. If you guys haven't watched it, I definitely recommend it. But it felt like I was watching In the Heights for a second. Like the choreography and the set was giving that very much. But the market, which was La Marqueta, that is a real business. It's an open air market in East Harlem. And I did some research on it, and it was actually an economic and social hub for the area's Latino immigrant community from 1930s to 1950s.
The Marqueta story goes back to 1936. Over the decades, it's changed, but its purpose remains the same, and that's to be a second home to Latinos that have migrated to New York City.
Before, it used to be a lot of push carts. We had pork, chickens, vegetables. It was a lot of different because it was the need in the moment. And this is where you come when you want a limber. This is where you come when you want to eat a lechon, when you want to dance salsa, bomba y plena. We have a little bit of everything to keep those traditions alive.
So it was a very important like marketplace for the Latino community during that time. And then of course we do get the scene of the little boy watching the Grammys, specifically Bad Bunny's acceptance speech. And then Bad Bunny comes and hands him the Grammy. Originally I had thought that was more based off, like the message behind it was more based off like having little Latino children realizing that they can also do that one day. They can make it as big as him. On the internet, I saw that he had a picture of his younger self, and he had the exact same outfit as the kid that was given the Grammy. So I definitely think now that it's more based off him, like I made it moment, kind of coming back to his younger self and appreciating all that he had to go through to get here. But I feel like it also had to do with the message of any like kids watching, Latino kids, that they can do it like him. Like they have the power to be as big of an artist as he is. Because I feel like we never really had a big Latino artist, or since like Selena. But even like her career was cut very short, and she would have definitely been one of the greatest of all time. But unfortunately, like she was killed at an early age. And then we get Ricky Martin, and he sings the song Lo Que Le Pasó a Hawaii, which is originally Bad Bunny song, but he did like his own rendition of it. And this song is very deep. It translates to what happened to Hawaii. But this song is about Benito's fear of what the U.S. control over Puerto Rico can have in the Puerto Rico culture. Like, and he talks about Hawaii, like what happened to Hawaii. He doesn't want what happened to Hawaii to happen to Puerto Rico, regarding like the U.S. control. And like a little background of like what happened. Once the U.S. took over Hawaii, it suppressed Hawaiian language, culture, and the people. They very much Americanized it and kind of stripped them away from like their deep cultural heritage and like their beliefs. In the song he sings, "They want to take my river and my beach too. They want my neighborhood and grandma to leave. No, don't let go of the flag, because I don't want them to do to you what happened to Hawaii." So yeah, it's very much his fear of Puerto Rico getting Americanized, basically. And his short film for his album Te Meteré Más Fotos really explores that, and I feel like you guys should watch it to understand what specifically he's talking about. In the film, this film follows this older guy in Puerto Rico, as he realizes that the Puerto Rico that he grew up with isn't the Puerto Rico that is now, and is instead Americanized. And it's very sad because I never thought about what it would feel like. And the film really captures exactly what might be going through Puerto Ricans as they realize that their country is being changed and it is not the country that they once grew up with, and the culture is changing. So yeah, definitely recommend that for you guys to go watch. But also, I feel like Ricky Martin specifically having to sing that song is very impactful because Ricky Martin is a Spanish singer, but he kind of had to take apart his Spanish side and really start singing in English in order to like really make it in the industry. So I think him being able to sing a full song in Spanish on the biggest stage in the world was very impactful for him because he had to really strip away from that in during his career. And plus it adds to what he's singing about. Literally, like, he's kind of taking back his culture instead of having to take parts of his culture away in the American industry of being like a musical artist. And then we get Bad Bunny again, and we get the song "The Apagón." I feel like this whole segment was my favorite, where he's like climbing the powers. What are they called? The power lines. When he's climbing the power lines, it was very impactful. So yeah, Bad Bunny and other dancers are climbing the power lines after the power line sparked and like basically like kind of like exploded a little bit, and then he starts singing the Apagón, which translates to the outage. And this song is really just or this whole performance really is shedding light on the economical issues with Puerto Rico, specifically with their power system, their electrical system, I mean, and how how often they have to deal with power outages and the effect it has on them, especially after getting slammed by like hurricanes basically like almost every year. They get a lot of hurricanes, and that clearly isn't going to help their electrical system. After doing some research, I found that without hurricanes, Puerto Rico loses about 27 hours of power per year, and this is without hurricanes, mind you. And during the 2017 Hurricane Maria, which was a whole there's a whole backstory to that hurricane and like the death count and everything. But specifically with that hurricane, they lasted 11 months without power. That's almost a whole year without having any power, which is crazy. And I think it was also like showing like how powerless they feel, because I feel like it was also like an analogy for how powerless Puerto Ricans sometimes feel, because the US, it is like considered a US territory, but yet the president and the US really don't help them with stuff. Like specifically during Hurricane Maria, the fact that they like didn't help them right away is crazy. Like they lasted 11 months. The death toll climbed every single day. And I feel like the US really doesn't do their job with them. Like they help every other state except them because, I don't know, maybe racism. Like they're not Americans because they're of a different culture, but they're still considered Americans because they're under the US. Like Puerto Ricans, every Puerto Rican is considered a resident of the US. So yeah, I feel like that was very impactful, because I personally didn't know the US control over Puerto Rico and how they really don't help them as they should. Like they don't really take Puerto Rico as part of the US. And also the Puerto Rican flag that he waves throughout the or no, specifically that part of the performance, he has the light blue version, which is the original Puerto Rican flag. That flag is associated with political independence. That is the original Puerto Rican flag, and once the US kind of took control, they really changed the blue to match the US blue to show that they're like colonized part of the US, I guess. Yeah, but that's not the original Puerto Rican flag. The original one is the light blue one that he holds, and it is now used as a part of like political independence for Puerto Ricans. And during El Apagón, he says something that really like caught me off kind of a little bit off guard, because I haven't really heard that song prior to the performance. And he says, "Now everyone wants to be Latino. No, but you're lacking seasoning, drums, and reggaeton." It's his way of saying that like people love like borrowing other cultures, taking ideas, the foods, like they just love what cultures have to offer, but then they don't like the people. And they even do like really shitty stuff to people who are different from them, and which is basically what we're dealing with. Like, all these Americans love tacos, they love, Latin foods and stuff like that, but then they don't want the people here, and they have some type of hate and anger towards the Latin community during this time, and also like the Black community, really anyone who is different, who is non-white. But yeah, I feel like this show overall was the first show that felt very positive, and like it had a true meaningful message behind it. I feel like this show really was fun, and it brought people together. It also created a very like positive, happy environment, which I feel like we've been lacking recently, especially in the media. It's definitely nice to have videos about this beautiful performance rather than, stuff that are going on in the world right now. And I also just love the representation that was in here, in the performance, the cultural representation, the LGBT representation. Really, I feel like he represented different cultures and different types of communities. And of course, I have to talk about the ending, because that is one of the best. The ending is always makes me like have chills, and just makes me like want to cry, honestly. He ends the whole show by saying God bless America, and then he says, I mean, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay. He just starts naming all the countries in America, not just the US. And I feel like this is very impactful, because the presidents always say God bless America, but they're really saying God bless the United States. They're not talking about America, because America as a whole there's like a South and North America, and it's filled with all these different Latin countries, and even like Canada. So him saying God bless America, and then saying I mean, and then he lists off literally every country in the Americas. Yeah, I just love that. Like, he really couldn't have done anything better. Like, that was perfect. And it was just like his way of saying that, like, the US doesn't own the world. Like, there are other countries, there are other cultures, other people out there that are just as important as the US. I also love how he like waved all the flags. He had people with the flags of their countries in there, like waving them proudly, running around the field proudly. Like, it was just perfect, beautiful. Like, it was very much needed in this time of history. And then also during this time, he had the screen behind him saying the only thing more powerful than hate is love. And this is actually what he said during his Album of the Year acceptance speech during the Grammys. He used his speech to speak out on ICE.
We're not savage, we're not animals, we're not aliens, we are humans, and we are Americans.
And the Latin communities, and he did say the only thing more powerful than hate is love.
The only thing that is more powerful than hate is love.
He specifically said that we cannot throw more hate at the people who are hating. It will only just build the tension and the hate more. It is the only way through it is through love, and I think that's really true. The only way to denounce hate is love. And then he holds the football, and the football says, "Together we are America," which is the only English writing in the whole show. I think he did that intentionally to signify unity and kind of send the message to all the English speakers who are also watching, and to show that like we are all in this together. We don't have to like hate a specific group of people because they are different or anything like that. And then of course it ends with the whole crew marching out to Debí tirar más fotos, the song, with the live band, and everyone is just very happy, prideful. The flags are waving. The fireworks are going off. The fireworks are the colors of the Puerto Rican flag. Yeah, the ending was perfect. It was beautiful. It literally, like, how could you hate on that? Like, literally, like, how could you even hate on that? I still get chills when I see it on TikTok. I also did love how the whole crew, like the dancers, the people in the show were all people of color. Like, I don't think I even saw someone who wasn't a person of color. Specifically, there's a lot of Latinos, And it's really the representation that is needed during this time and for the message that he's trying to convey. Also, there is a frog. I don't know if you guys catch it. There's a frog that is on the screen in the stadium. He's wearing like the black sweater and like the dark jeans and the shoes. And that frog is actually the mascot for his newest album. His name is Concho, and he is a Puerto Rican crested toad, which is actually an endangered species of toad in Puerto Rico. So yeah, I love how he just incorporates like little stuff to shed light on specific issues. Like this toad is an endangered species in the island, and him using that toad as like a mascot for his album, I feel like definitely sheds light, because I definitely did not know that toad was endangered or anything like that. But yeah, if you guys haven't listened to his album, I would highly recommend listening to his album, even if you don't speak Spanish. Like, I'm pretty sure there's translated lyrics somewhere. It's a beautiful album. You know, it's very danceable. You don't have to know it. There are some songs that I would recommend translating, but you can just enjoy the music. It's good music. But yeah, if you guys made it to the end of the video, make sure to give this video a like. And also, please subscribe. I just started my channel, and I don't know what exactly I want to do, but I definitely want to do more like sit down talking videos. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure to subscribe to stay tuned to those videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.